where the power of centuries of dogma was dispelled by his humble telescope pointed out a window in Italy. We are not the great center of the universe. Our location is unsettled, and our world moved. For this, he was brought to trial. The authorities knew his facts would undermine their political ambitions, and so science had to yield. The story goes that Galileo made his peace to save his life, but before he left, he stamped his foot on the ground and said, "But it moves." So when the authorities of today deny that our actions are changing the climate, we have come to stamp our foot and say, "But it warms." Or when the well-vetted science of vaccines is attacked, we will stand up for the health of our children and say, "But they save."
No, that's a whole different one of my bioethics classes.
Or if misinformation is spread about genetically modified foods, we will say, "But they feed." And when the American people's love and dedication to science is called into question, we will say together, "But we move." Yes, there's beauty in finding out what we knew was not quite right. Many scientists feared the effects of getting out of the lab and into the street. When you see the power of us all here together, that is an energy that cynicism and doubt cannot suppress.
It's bad.
Yes, I've heard it said that marches are just steam, and that may be so. But I say, let us be the steam that moves the wheels.
Oh my God.
Did you go outside at all?
You are the faces of Seattle Science, and I thank every last one of you for being here today. Today is the March for Science. What a beautiful day that is. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to introduce our Governor Dayton, who this year has been an official Dharma Day and an official Science Day. Thank you for being there.
Scientific light today in Washington. And I gotta tell you, I am so touched and delighted to see the rise of this movement. And I want to tell you why it's so personal to me. I just had a buddy of mine who's got cancer. How about a shout out to the scientists at the Fred Hunt Center that's going to cure him of cancer? How about a shout out for the thousands of science teachers who are teaching our kids to stand up against global ignorance? Now we are here today to say one simple thing. We will not allow science to be silenced, to be scorned, to be subdued, or to be suppressed. And there is a reason for that. There is a reason for that. We cannot allow the Flat Earth Society to rule the roost. Let's now say things that are true. Gravity is real. The Earth is round. Stem cells exist. Climate change and ocean acidification are real. They are not a Chinese place. We know this. We know that science is attacked today, but we know this. Nature does not allow anti-science forces to repeal the laws of thermodynamics, and we will not allow any government to repeal the laws and the appropriations that allow us to cure cancer, to beat climate change, to explore the heavens. This is the destiny of America, and we will not go backwards. But we are here today. Now I am not a scientist, although I want to declare Jimi Hendrix the original musical scientist. What a great song he is. But I want to declare a new law of thermodynamics today. I am proposing a new fifth law of thermodynamics that says this. For every anti-science next 3 years, there will be an equal and opposite pro-science reaction in the state of Washington.
Not equal, tenfold.
And we will emerge victorious. Here's a message. The scientists are raving at the winds over their laser beams, their spectrographs, their ultrasounds, their laser interferometer gravitational observatories. Whatever they're doing, we're going to stand with them. When they speak up, we will speak out. When people try to suppress their information, we will propagate their information. We will make sure that science information is distributed to the whole world, not suppressed. To the scientists in the state of Washington, I'll tell you this, we've got your backs, and we're going to be with you. So I'm going to leave you, I know these are about 30 days. We hear those
I'm pretty sure I've read more of our
The ability is to win, just like Copernicus and Galileo did.
Maybe I should
Here's the way we're going to win. We have new minds. We have new scientists. They're going to stand up with us. We can't imagine. I'll tell you one little story. Just one little story. I was at Caballero Mid High School in Lake Stevens the other day. And I met the folks who were in the robotics competition. These are 14-year-old kids designing robots, okay? And I asked these 4 kids, would you rather design a rocket to Mars or develop an electric car to reduce carbon emissions? The 3 boys said, we'd rather design the rocket to Mars. The young woman said this, I want to design an electric car because we can't save the planet Earth. We don't deserve to go to Mars. Let's make sure science goes to those who win this.
All right, folks. The land that we're standing on today is that of the Duwamish people, a nation our federal government refuses to recognize. Many of you are here because you are outraged and afraid of how the president's cuts to science funding will shape the future. This anger and fear is real, and there are also many people who have been dealing with attacks like this for much longer than these past 3 months. Undocumented communities, incarcerated and formerly incarcerated folks, unhoused communities, disabled people, queer and trans and gender non-conforming folks. I'm going to continue reading. Undocumented communities, incarcerated and formerly incarcerated folks, unhoused communities, disabled people.
That's right.
Trying to take her off the stage or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Where are you coming from?
I am coming, well, I live in Seattle. I work with the Freedom Socialist Party, Socialist Feminists, Race Liberation.
Here we are. Here's the Science March. It is 10:33 at Cal Anderson Park. Of course, the camera will say it's 9:33, but that's because it's not on DST. Here's the first shot up on a little hill here in the park. I remember when this was all reservoir. Well, this wasn't, but most of it was. And it was open water. And I'm gonna go toward the crowd.
And she's with an organization called
With directly, we have a 20-year mark.
Oh, I had to take a shot of my beautiful old house.
Essentially petitioning
So many shows were playing there. So many protests were playing there. And there were shows done there. I miss my old house. It sold for $1.5 million. Almost that much. 145 or something.
I'm going to Sitka.
Yeah, and I could have bought it for 70. Had a school not screwed up my credit by stealing my last payment and screwing me student loan. That's a long story. It'll be incredible. Lots of folks here.
I've experienced that. Not the drugs, but the important clarification. It's the thing where, like, the first time it happened, I was like, oh, this is what they were all writing. I get it. And I told them to a friend. Yeah. She was like, like, and I got that without believing in anything. Sorry, Kat.
that's good. Let's check out my signs.
No, my backpack has.
Molly, you want to go to the tent?
Filled with
Yeah,
dust.
I want to go to the
And the
tent.
light shining into the room through the window. You close the light, what happens?
Molly, do you want to?
The dust. That really wakes up, knows what to do.
All right, let's have one more round of applause for the mayor. All right. Okay. Our next speaker, Dr. Ann Egger, is an associate professor of geological sciences and science education at Central Washington University, and the current president of the National Association of Geoscience Teachers, one of the organizations that endorsed the march and shares its values. Please welcome Dr. Egger to the stage. Hello, fellow citizens and scientists and friends of science. It's an honor to follow the governor and the mayor on this stage. I'm an earth scientist and a science educator. Earth Day began 47 years ago to raise awareness about environmental issues, to put environmental protection on the national stage by showing widespread public support for it. Today, I'm so proud and excited to continue that tradition by showing our widespread support for science, including the science that develops the evidence to inform environmental protection, and for the inclusive science education that helps develop effective scientists, policymakers, and citizens. For me, a celebration of science is incomplete without some opportunities to learn. So here goes. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and if your answer is yes, I want you to wave your sign or wave your arms if you don't have a sign. And if your answer is no, you're going to put your sign down. Okay, everybody got that? Yes, sign up and waving, no, sign down. You can practice, okay. So here's your first question. Have you felt an earthquake? Whoa, look at all those waving signs and hands. If you're one of the few people that is not waving your sign or hand, talk to your neighbor on the march. Find out more about their experience, where they were, what they felt, how they reacted. Okay, next question. Do you think that earthquake scientists want to know about your experiences in earthquakes? The answer is yes. Good job. They do. The next time you feel an earthquake, if you haven't done it before, even if you know it happened and you didn't feel it, go to the USGS website. website. It's called Did You Feel It? And fill out the form. This is citizen science, collecting many thousands of observations submitted by people affected by an event like an earthquake. Helps answer questions about how seismic waves move through the earth and make things shake at the surface. The point is, your knowledge and experiences and observations are important and contribute to science and contribute to your community's safety. Okay, one more question. Did you have a great science teacher who inspired you? I love it. That is awesome to see. If anyone didn't raise your sign, I am so sorry. We're trying to change that. The future of science is built on science education. Supporting science has to mean supporting excellent science education. Excellent science education leads not only to more scientists coming from more diverse backgrounds, but also to more science-literate politicians, business people, and community leaders who incorporate science into their decision-making. And for the well-being of society on our planet, Earth science education is critically important, particularly when it takes the approach that emphasizes the Earth as a complex system that includes humans and human activities. This is the approach taken in the next generation science standards for K-12 education, and the state of Washington was an early adopter of those standards. And we're working really hard to help teachers and schools and districts implement those standards effectively and prepare the next generation of science teachers. Okay, two more quick things. One's a nerdy science thing. When you get to the end of the march, look up at the Space Needle and stack 4 more Space Needles on top of that. That's how thick the ice sheet was that covered Puget Sound about 17,000 years ago. And the evidence for that is all around us in the glacial deposits and in the flow lines on the landscape. And look out at Puget Sound. At the current rate of sea level rise, the port of Seattle will be underwater in about 180 years. And our best science can help us understand and even predict these changes, and excellent science education helps us prepare for and mitigate the effects. Okay, second thing, last thing. That first Earth Day worked, right? New policies and procedures to protect the environment were put into place by the end of that year. How do we make sure the March for Science works? I challenge you to do 2 things. And the first is to keep learning. Learn something new every day about how we know what we know and where the evidence is. Learning new things keeps you open to the world. The second is to continue to show your support in the way that is comfortable to you. Maybe that means joining an organization that advocates for science education. I see a sign for NSTA over there, or NAGT, or whatever works for you. Or donating time or money to your local science center. Maybe it's calling your legislator. Maybe it's making your business an example of evidence-based practices. There are many ways to celebrate science and science education, and choose one that gives you joy and is meaningful for you and for your community. I choose helping people become earth scientists and earth science educators. Thank you very much.
I like it so much. I like it.
So next up, we have Threadbare Rag, who's going to talk to us expanding our knowledge of the universe. He was born and raised in Spokane, Washington. He's a third-year undergraduate student at the UW studying Earth and Space Sciences, Astronomy, and Physics. During his time at the UW, he's been involved in undergraduate research and outreach activities, among many other things. Please welcome Tyler Valentine.
What's up, y'all? Hey. Throughout my entire life, I've been fascinated with science, but as a black student that spent middle school and high school straddling the poverty line, becoming a scientist seemed like something utterly out of reach. All of the scientists and engineers that you learn about in school are painted as these heroic and godlike figures with seemingly unattainable qualities. But now that I've gone through a few years of schooling and interned in the industry for a little bit, I can tell you something a lot of scientists and engineers might not want you to know. They aren't special at all. There is no special attribute or quality that scientists and engineers have that the average person lacks. all that it takes to be a scientist or engineer is curiosity, access to resources, and belief in yourself. But if that's true, then why are so many people of color lost along the path to becoming a scientist or engineer? If that's true, then why do I work at a company where only 2% of the employees are black, and that 2% is me? Do people of color lack curiosity? Do we lack access to resources? Do we not believe in ourselves? Or is there something more than all of that? I want to walk you through each one of those. Now, it turns out that what makes each and every one of us human is our shared sense of curiosity and wonder. It's something that we were born with, but it's something that we can very easily lose touch with. Every single parent wants to give their child the best possible life, but in many families, parents aren't sure how to encourage their curiosity. And in many communities, young people of color don't have the privilege of exploring their curiosity in the world around them in their free time, as it's occupied with other work and worries. Many young people of color are too busy working to help support their families. They're too busy worrying about if or when their families might be deported across an artificial border. They're too busy worrying about getting arrested or killed by the police to even think about pursuing STEM. Now, if we lack encouragement at home and we don't have the privilege of exploring it on our own, then it falls on schools to be a source of encouragement. However, due to implicit bias, teachers are less likely to encourage and more likely to punish black and brown students and their white peers. And beyond that, there are enormous flaws in our country's education system that deny opportunities in countless underrepresented communities. And all of those flaws stem from the horrendous funding system constructed for our schools. This country has decided to fund schools in a large portion of the property taxes in the communities surrounding the schools. However, in low-income communities, families are far less likely to own homes, there are fewer businesses, and as a result, schools have significantly less funding than middle and upper-class communities. Now, this has the potential to affect almost anyone in the United States, but it predominantly affects underrepresented people. Post-emancipation, banks were able to systematically deny home loans to black and brown folk across the nation. And even if a person of color was able to own a home, the property value would sharply decrease due to their undesirable presence. The civil rights movement was able to end segregation by law, but de facto segregation still exists in our country. And as a result, we continue to suffer the consequences of a system that we did not create. And all of these and other struggles increase the likelihood that people of color will struggle with mental health problems. Now, the most common mental struggle that people of color deal with is our inability to believe in ourselves. Even for those of us who are fortunate enough to make it into and beyond college, we continuously struggle with imposter syndrome, the seemingly unshakable belief that we aren't supposed to be here, regardless of how hard we work or how much we achieve. This syndrome is magnified by microaggressions and when our white classmates and coworkers insinuate that we are only here because of affirmative action or we're simply a diversity hire. Imposter syndrome is like a second shadow that stalks us from one school or company to the next, feeding off representation in the media. The media has no problem showcasing white male scientists, but struggles to represent people of color as anything but criminals. The new Jim Crow feeds off of this representation to perpetuate its social control of black Americans and hides itself behind the so-called war on drugs. This system of mass incarceration has made it so that black men in this country are twice as likely to end up with a felony on their record than with a bachelor's degree on their resume. Until Black Lives Matter and the new Jim Crow is dismantled piece by piece, we can't hope to see any meaningful change in the racial or ethnic makeup of our scientists or engineers. And any change that does happen or has happened is purely superficial and is done in an effort to obscure the systems of racism and social control that continue to prevail in the United States and afford white Americans innumerable privileges. Now, all of you have come out today because you believe, as do I, that scientific and technological progress is the hallmark of modern society and that it must continue to advance and evolve. However, for that advancement and evolution to occur, the narrative needs to change. The struggles I have described are not limited to people of color, but are experienced by immigrants, transgender and queer folk, as well as women. And I urge
And
each
white
of you
trash.
to return to your school, your lab, or your workplace and change the way you and those around you think about scientists and engineers.
Sorry.
The era of the cis, hetero, white male scientist is over. And it is time for all of us to make a conscious effort to be more inclusive of people from all communities and backgrounds. Thank you.
All right, give it up one more time for Tyler Valentine. Yeah, we here at the March for Science are 100% behind increasing equity in science education and representation of people of color in science. All right, we got a tight schedule, so here we go. Our next speaker is Sean Cantrell. He's Northwest Regional Director for Defenders of Wildlife, overseeing the organization's work in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. He joined the staff of the Defenders in 2014 and has spent more than 25 years working on wildlife and public lands conservation in Washington State, including with Friends of the Earth and Seattle Audubon Society. Sean earned a BA in political science from Gonzaga University, some Zags out here, as well as a certificate in nonprofit leadership from the University of Washington's Evans School of Public Affairs. Give it up for Sean Cantrell.
Thank you all for being here. This is amazing looking out. You should stand here and see it. It's cool. Yeah, this is bigger than Trump's inauguration, someone said. It's great to be here today, speaking out, speaking up, and standing up for science. It's never been more important than today. The risk for wildlife, for our climate, for people is amazing. There you go. Okay, telling me to speak up. Get in the mic. Science is central to addressing so many of the pressing issues we face today. As a national conservation organization, Defenders of Wildlife is committed to incorporating science into our daily work, protecting endangered wildlife species and their habitats. Here in Washington State, science is an essential component in the ongoing work to protect and restore grizzly bears and salmon, spotted owls, and orca. I had the privilege of working on the decades-long campaign to restore the Elwha River out on the Olympic Peninsula. The successful removal of those two outdated dams and the rapid recovery of salmon into that river was driven by scientific research, extensive data analysis, and interdisciplinary collaboration. Likewise, science is going to be essential to recovering other wildlife species and habitats here in Washington, including the dwindling population of orca in Puget Sound. Because science is vital to saving wildlife and people. Yet today, much of this vital science is itself endangered. Some of our government leaders want to substitute politics for science. This is very dangerous for wildlife and for our future. Defenders of Wildlife firmly believes that strong science is worth standing up for. We fight daily for wildlife and against those who favor overriding science-based decisions that risk more extinctions.
I'm passionate about teaching my students that it's possible to reconcile their science with their faith. It is my goal to help build the next generation of scientists in this country, but I need your help to support programs which bring diverse voices and creative solutions to the world's most pressing scientific problems. Because no matter what background you're from, we need non-biased, fact-checked, peer-reviewed, evidence-based policies. Policy that is scientifically sound, not only for every type of American, but also from every type
Okay, I think we're getting ready to start. Oh, wait a second longer.